What's up, guys? Steven here today. And today I wanted to talk to you about sacred geometry. So, I had been kind of struggling how to essentially word this concept because it's something that's been on my mind for a really, really long time. But I figured that I would essentially just talk about the three fundamental shapes. So, the triangle, the circle, and then the square, right? And then kind of like their particular attributes, or if you want personality or function, and then how it applies in soccer, and then the fucking game changers that it can create, right? So let's get into it. So first off, I talk the rectangle. Let's just talk about the rectangle. The rectangle or the square stands for stability. And, well, let me just take a step back. The reason why each of these shapes, geometric shapes, have a personality and an attribute is because their geometric structure literally make an impact on reality that is felt and real, meaning it provides a particular energy, if you want to say, or particular frequency that shapes reality in a particular way or influences reality in a particular way, right? Furthermore, some geometric structures are more suited for particular purposes than others, right? So now, for example, the square, right, or the rectangle, because all sides are equal, it means that it's the most stable one, meaning it's not going to break on you, it's not going to veer one place to the other. It's always going to stay the same, no matter which way you spin it, right? It's always going to be pointing to the same thing. Now, for example, a triangle, depending on how you spin it, it's going to be pointing in a different direction, right? Same thing for the circle, right? The square always stays the same. Now, it's used for stability. So that means that this is how you build your foundations, right? If you have a building, for example, you will always, like there, for example, I see a lot of buildings nowadays where people try to be really creative, right? And that's really cool and all, but they always err to forget the fucking fundamentals, the foundation. And there are certain things, you can have creative reign over anything, but at the end, there are certain things that are immutable, right? For example, having a solid fucking foundation. And those are the things that you should never fuck with. Because if you do, your building will break. Your building will fall. Give it enough time or give it the right conditions and it will crumble to the fucking ground, right? So keep your foundation square. Reason being because it's the most stable geometric shape or structure in reality. It's a thing that will always hold against wind, against water, against fire, against earth even. It will always hold. So always keep your foundation the same. And then building up after a certain point, after that base foundation has been set, after that depth, the depth of the foundation has been set, then you can start getting funky and like doing weird things to essentially create a creative shaping for your building, right? So for example, if you look at it, this is why pyramids are actually rectangular pyramids. I was pretty sure there was actually a particular word for it, like a geometric shape. It has a square base, but then going up, it's like triangular, right? But I couldn't Google all and it said it's called a rectangular pyramid, so I'll just leave it as that, and it's as simple as that. But that's why even fucking pyramids are rectangular, meaning they built up the foundation, right? But then once that the depth of that foundation had been properly set, then they started getting creative and okay, we can actually just stack a few fucking instead of just keep stacking bricks on top of bricks on top of bricks, we can just start stacking bricks in a way in this shape, right? So now you still have the foundation holding the entire building up, but then the outside, what people see, has a creative shape to it, right? So the square is stability. It's the foundation. This is why, for example, all sports games also have a square-like shape to them because on top of it being stable, it blocks everything out and keeps everything in, right? In an ample amount, while providing an ample amount of space and time, right? Space time. So it provides a lot of space and it provides a good shield, preventing stuff from coming in and outside things from only interacting with the things inside, right? Now, something that I wanted to mention, well, actually, I'll talk about that later. The next shape is the fucking triangle, right? And the triangle, to me, it's all about ascension and awareness. Meaning, a good way of putting it is to use your mind's eye to make things known. It's like that illumination spell by Harry Potter. I forgot the name of it. But that's pretty much what the triangle does. It essentially reveals all the spiritual connections that are present in that area of space-time. That's the best way I would put it, right? And so by using the triangle, you're able to make known what is there. That's when you're able to essentially see that, oh shit, your squad member is like, for example, playing defense, your squad member is like a little too far ahead and there is a fat gap there. And because of that hole, the whole squad is like being sucked into it, right? Or it's able to essentially show you that, oh fuck, you're moving too far or you're going too fast when you're trying to put pressure on someone. And so you actually have to slow down and be more cautious. Not only so you don't get juked the fuck out, but also for the safety of the other team or the safety of the opposing opponent. Because it's cool and all to score a goal, but you will create a great team the moment when you care about the team you're going against. You care about their wellness and their safety as well. You're not just out there fucking trying to like break legs, but you're literally using skill to dispossess dispossess someone from the ball, or you using fucking your wits and like the whole fucking squad's energy to actually like put them in bad positions so you can maybe counter them or set up a swaggy ass offense, right? So it's not just about bronze or skills, but it's also about brains and using the fucking team. And that's why I really love fucking soccer, because in my head, there's no other game that is, I mean, they are, but it's one of those rare games that's ever continuous, meaning the game is always being played out, and it's live, and it gives the opportunity to not only showcase your individual skill set, but also force you to make that skill set mesh with the overall team energy for the purpose of goal scoring. And that's really fucking awesome to me because it just makes a lot of things even out. And it provides the opportunity for so many beautiful things to happen. This dude has an incredible fucking skill set. And so he's already fucking entertaining to watch, right? But then also he gets in a team that's like incredibly smart, and they're able to not only play with one another but also read the opponents or read the opposing team super well. So they're able to like fucking set up little you can call it like bait trap and baits, or like second or wave like offensives or defensive pressures, stuff like that. Like, it's such a beautiful game, and I guess I'll kind of like get into that a bit more later. But it's an amazing game in that way, and the tragedy is oftentimes it's not respected in that way. Oftentimes people think that, oh, it's all about just the skill set or the fucking person, and they completely forget about the other fucking team members or the actual goal. Yeah, this person took on 5 person, but then they lost the ball, and then by them stupidly making those bad decisions, now the team has no space time to play with, and now they're also in the perfect counterattack position, and they're super vulnerable to that, and now they just get scored on. So at the end, that was so unpurposeful, and it was like a waste, right? So the triangle essentially brings to your mind's eye what is there, and it allows you to spiritually see all the connections that are possible, right? That to me is like one of the greatest definitions of ascension, right? So that's how I would define triangle. And then next you have the circle, right? And the circle is all about what I would call focus of energy on a singular point, right? Some people use the word unity, and in unity there is power, right? But to me, it's all about just focusing energy, life force, awareness on one particular fucking point in space and time. And by doing that, there's just so much of all in that one place, right? That to me is the reason why when you shoot the ball, or if you have your controller set to a classic setup on FIFA, you have to press a circle to shoot, right? Because it's a focusing of all your energy on that particular moment, on that particular point on the ball. And so it just punches the ball and it goes out, hopefully for a goal, right? So those are the three um, the three fundamental shapes, in my opinion. Right. Now it sounds really funny, but I guess to also add, the circle draws in your attention. It's always the thing that essentially brings your focus, and it kind of ties into that definition that I mentioned. It's essentially trying to focus all your awareness and your energy on that point. It's kind of like a magnet, right? Now, the funny thing is, a great way of seeing like swaggy applications of this are like holy places or like churches, things like that. Things with like really traditional art, because you'll see how these fundamental shapes are literally tied into the very fabric of the architecture, even the infrastructure of the church. And it's not done by accident. It's because a place such as those, where the goal of the purpose is to essentially help you elevate your being, help elevate your spirituality. There are things done to the space itself that must essentially help work in curating it so that that intended goal is met, right? So, for example, it has to be on stable ground, but then also There has to be shapes around it to where your awareness is placed there. And then because your awareness is placed there, there's something that guides that placing and essentially links it to something that helps you ascend, right? Something that helps you spiritually go up, spiritually become more aware, spiritually help you see all the objects, everything, help you become more aware of things that are there. That's why it's not by coincidence that when you leave church or holy place, you always feel lighter, you always feel better. Because literally these things are there to essentially facilitate that. It's like a cleansing on a high frequency, or a cleansing on a spiritual level. And it sounds really, really weird and gay and like abstract, but something tells me that you kind of know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's a great way of kind of seeing how that's in play, right? And I will say something that, like, there is such a thing as like higher level beings and higher level entities. And in my opinion or experience, like a lot of them come directly in that form. Like they don't appear to you as like human, right? But they're very multi-dimensional in that way, meaning you will literally see, it will feel as if the house becomes alive itself, or as if like a set of squares and circles come together, and then it makes this face, and then this face has like, it's literally just like that, and it sounds really, really, real weird, and I don't know how else to put it, but it's just what it is. So always remember that there is a multi-dimensional aspect of reality and life, and these things do exist and do take play in this way, right? So that's that. Now, one thing that I kind of started talking about earlier is that because of the geometry, for example, of the rectangle, it essentially creates what I mentioned, a closed environment. And my point is, I guess, or what I want to say is, for a good game to occur, the environment has to be closed. Meaning, every player that is on the field essentially makes an impact on the game, right? Every single player. Because of that closed aspect of the rectangle. So if this is the case, this also fucking includes the ref. Now I'm probably gonna say shit to like people are gonna be like, what the fuck? But yeah, like it's like if every single player has an energetic impact, then that means that the ref also has an energetic impact, right? Now, too often you'll see the ref just run around, and even getting in the way, right? And it's so annoying because people don't realize that could have been a goal scoring opportunity, right? Now, this gets into what is this like a big game, like refs getting bought, like bad fouls called when they're not, and that's literally I'm not here to like point fingers, but I'm just saying that shit does happen, and you can look at the fucking tapes for yourself, right? You can make your own decision. I really don't give a fuck, because from my understanding, reading on this, there was never meant to have it be a referee on the fucking field. Originally, the laws of the game literally said there was to be a judge that oversaw over the game, calling or making the final decisions when a foul was called or implored, penalties were implored, substitutions were made, etc., etc. There was to be a judge, right? But never in that wording did it say that the judge was to physically take place on the field. Never did it say that. And in my opinion, that was not meant to be, because when you have an extra player, it's like having an illegal player, because now he literally influences the game. So that means it could go one way or the other. And it's not a balanced game anymore where it's 10 on 10, but it's now it's 11 on 11 counting the goalies, right? But now it's an imbalanced game because one day the ref could be adding fucking favorable wins for this team, this 11, or he could be adding favorable wins on the other team. And that to me is fucking bullshit. And the sad part is like players, I feel like, who are really intuitive and really sensitive and can see that shit and could really just bring massive not just dollars, but like just so many games to the game, develop it in ways that we haven't even begun to think. When they see that shit, they get turned off. They're like, oh, it's a big game, so what's the point of even trying? And it deters new opportunities that could be brought to the game from it, right? Like it used to be like fucking like FIFA really stood for something like beautiful game, right? And it just sucks to see that. Like I don't know, it's weird. Like I don't watch that many soccer games anymore because it's weird. I'm all about like habits now. I kind of wrote about it a while ago, like how it's all a game of habits, like learning how to make the right decision over and over and over again, right? And like it was weird because I tuned on to like a Champions League game the other day, and I think it was like I don't know, maybe it was a Champions League game. I don't even want to mention the team names because that's just, and it was 2-0, and then one team scored, but then I was like, holy shit, am I seeing this? Like, that moment that they scored, there was another assistant ref standing on the sideline who had he had put one foot on the fucking field. And, like, of course, the player ran up the side, dribbled, and then, like, made some, like, weird, unforeseeable pass. And it just went directly to his teammate and he scored. And, like, the ref was, like, standing right. And I'm like, yeah, of course, right? It's almost like when you're shorting a circuit. Like, you're inserting an unwanted or a force that is not meant to be there into the circuit or into the game. And so now it causes things that were never meant to be, right? Like, I even looked this up and, like, apparently, so what refs are actually supposed to, like, because I fully believe in the integrity of that middle line, the line from here's the goal and here's the goal, and the line that, like, literally meets them right at the half, that splits the fucking field into, like, two halves, an upper half and a lower half. I fully believe in, because that's like the lifeline of the game, and like having an extra person there that doesn't play for any team, right, just completely fucks up the magnetic fields, right? Because it's all about those invisible lanes that occur from like moment to moment, from like a player turning in this way or that way, or a player crossing over, right, in a particular direction, or someone just walking forward, right? And because it's a closed environment, think of it like has like air, right? Instead of just going forward and dissipating, it just bounces off those lines, and now it creates an opportunity for something epic to occur. This person, this ref, right, or whatever, is just literally stunting those opportunities. And so that's why the game has to be halted every day. It's like, man, I mean, fuck, we have drones now. It'd be even better if we just like fucking set drones on a specific part of the field to where now they could watch everything, and we would just have even a cleaner way of making decisions, right, than having someone that's physically interrupting the game, literally interrupting it, meaning interrupting options, interrupting lanes for players to go through, literally having the ball running to him, all this shit, because it fucks up the game and it causes it from not being beautiful anymore, right? But like, it's like apparently they're supposed to do something called diagonal control positioning. And what it is like the ref literally. So here's the field. Here are the two fields. Here are the two goals. And like here's that line. And the refs literally are only limited to this path. Like just running like this. Literally. Not running like that. Not running like that. But they pick one corner and they go like that. They go at a diagonal, right? Literally like this. So here's the rectangle, and then they create that diagonal. And so what happens is if they're moving this way, they're moving towards an assistant referee who's right there, right? So it's kind of like, excuse me, it's like bringing the game to this assistant referee. And then if they're moving this way, they're bringing the game to this assistant referee. And they're not allowed to move out of that line or that path because doing so would essentially be interference, right? And like, it just, I mean, if they are to be there, then they should at least listen to that positioning, right? And again, I feel like I'm probably not the first person who have mentioned this. Maybe probably some, I don't know, some Italian dude was like, bruh, it's gonna fuck everything up. They're gonna know. They're like, no, fuck you. What do you know? You're Italian. And then the game just slowly dies because all this bullshit has occurred. But, I don't know, it's sad because when shit like that occurs, we all lose because we don't get the best game that we could have. Potential doesn't get unleashed like it should. And the worst part is like the players. Like I always think about those players. Like they're forced to make the bad decisions knowing that they could have made the right ones, but they're stuck because this ref is like blocking a lane and now they can't even move the way they should because everything is felt in that closed environment. That's why like when the defensive line is not set, the offense can't work properly because it feels like there's this fucking hole. Like you literally feel a draft and it literally sucks you back. Like you're trying to run forward and you'll just fall backwards because something is like pulling you backwards. And it sucks because it's like it just leaves in this closed environment. You can feel all the fucking holes and you can feel them. And like when there's even a ref, right, or there's a player there who is not, or a ref who's not even doing his job properly, who's not staying on his line, who's not staying in his lane, then that's also fucking felt because that also limit, like the offensive players have a fucking limited range of expression in terms of their movement, right? Everything is felt. Everything equals out. And it's just the fucking fundamental way of life. Like the fundamental laws of the universe, laws of reality, right? And kind of funny because it ties into, I kind of talked about this last video, but I hope it just makes more sense. Like those magnetic lines is everything, right? And like I even noticed that like you can actually feel it depending on the movement or the way that you turn your body. Like for example, if you're going this way, your team just lost the ball, right? And the guy's maybe three or let's say a league ahead of you. And let's define a league as like 3 steps. So 1, 2, 3. He's a league ahead of you. If instead of just directly turning, you just ran backwards and then turned at the appropriate moment, you will be more flush or in line or moving more in unison with the game in a way that you're not adding extra momentum against your team, but rather you're actually going with the game as it's developed. And it's crazy because when you start playing with those magnetic lines, you actually really learn to truly fucking appreciate soccer. Because that's where the fucking magic is. Like, there is so many amazing things that can be done when that's there, right? When there's no, but also when there's no interruption, when there's no interference. Uh, Anyways, hope that made sense. Just think about how you're using each geometric shape. Think about how you're fucking playing with your teammate, with your team. Think about your fucking team swag. And how essentially at the end it's all about energy. And the more good energy you bring to the game, the more you're essentially opening yourself up. Not only your mind's eye to the possibilities, but your entire fucking team. And thus their team and their teammate and their sector, right? The way I think about soccer, it's all about sectors, right? Like, it's like kind of that concept in basketball of like when they play cover, how like you have a step forward, that's one, a step to the left, that's another one, or three small steps forward, that's one, 3 small steps to the left, 3 small steps to the right, and then 3 small steps backwards. That's your sector. And how, like, essentially when you link up spiritually, you're able to cover each other's sectors in such a harmonious way to where offense and defense become one thing. So that whole moving offensively while thinking defensively. I don't know if that made sense, but I hope it did. Anyways, hope you guys get something out of this. As always, swag the fuck out.